What's up? This is Ryan with One Board Family, and I just got done with a great night's sleep because we just got back home from Columbus, Ohio. We attended Origins Game Fair 2024. Myself, Aaron, and Bob Kroll from our channel all attended, and we had an amazing time. The weekend is something that we look forward to each and every year, and it's a time where we get to meet with publishers, designers, and get to see some of our friends in the industry, some of our other content creators that we really love so much. So, after getting a good night's sleep, I wanted to come on here and talk about the 5 games that I'm really excited for that we now have in our house. These are a mix of games that we purchased ourselves and games that were given to us by their publishers so that we could review for our channel. So I'm going to make that distinction on each and every one of the games so that you know whether we purchased them or whether they were given to us. Anyway, before I start, honorable mention goes to Mojo. Mojo is a card game from 25th Century Games, and it will not appear on this list even though it debuted at Origins. The reason why is because we've been playing Mojo for a number of weeks and we love this little card game. It is a colorful, fun, cutthroat card game that plays in about 20 to 30 minutes, and it is an amazing experience. If you don't know about Mojo, please take a look. We're going to have full coverage on our channel, but I'm not going to include Mojo in this list because we've had it for a number of weeks, and I don't think it's fair to take up a spot for the other 5 games that I want to talk about. So let's get into this list. First up, in no particular order, is By the Seashore. This is a small card game from designer Mondo Davis and provided to us for review by Gold Seal Games, the publisher. We really like the look of this game. My wife, Erin, is a big fan of the beach. Me, not so much. But this is a game that we can both get behind because what you're doing is you're basically beachcombing and you're finding things like shark's teeth and sea glass and shells as you go along the beach. You're collecting these things, and each of the items have different scoring criteria. I really love overlapping and tile laying. So what you're doing is you're using these square cards, essentially laying over or laying under in order to get adjacency and meet the scoring criteria to score the most points. This game, from everything that we've heard, plays really well at 2 players, which means that this is a perfect date night game for me and Aaron, and it's a game that would easily hit the table because of how beautiful the illustrations are. The illustrator is Tracy Van Wagner, and I really like the look of this one. This one is just the right size for us, and we really enjoy our tile placement, card placement, card laying games. You're also drafting. So there's a lot to like in this game, and we're really excited about getting this one to the table. It's very pretty. So if you haven't already looked into it, stay tuned. We're going to have full coverage of By the Seashore, or you can pick up a copy from Gold Seal Games. I believe this one's now available. Next up on my list is La Familia Hort. This one comes to the United States from Grand Gamers Guild. Just a heads up that this copy was provided to us by the publisher for the intent of reviewing on our channel. So let me tell you a little about this game. Essentially, it's a farming game, but the artwork, this artwork reminds me of Courage the Cowardly Dog, which is a cartoon that I grew up on. I was in my teenage years when Courage came out on Cartoon Network, and I love the creepy, unsettling art style. And La Familia Hort gives that same creepy, unsettling art style. Essentially, you're a family of farmers who is trying to basically bring back I think you're trying to bring back your grandmother's ghost, getting farming tips from her, and you've got your own farm that you're working on. But the player at the end of the game, I believe it's 4 seasons or 4 rounds, the player at the end of the game that has the best farm and has the most points will summon the dead grandmother back to their farm. So this one's really cool. It's unsettling, and if you know my affection for horror movies and horror themed games, this one fits right up my alley. I'm really excited about this one. While I would love to save this for our coverage in the fall as we lead into October with all the horror games that we always do. I'm going to be reviewing this one this summer because I think it deserves a place in front of your eyeballs. So I'm excited about the artwork. I'm excited about the theme. And of course, my horror-loving self can't stay away from something like this. So that one's La Familia Hort. Check this one out when you get a moment. Next one up is not a board game, but more of an activity dexterity game. This one is Jam Sumo. This board, we purchased this at Origins 2024 from the Brown Castle Games booth. This one is produced by Brown Castle Games, but the game design is from Gavin Birnbaum, originally in the UK. Essentially, it looks like a tiny crokinole board, and that's, I think, what brought me into it originally when I saw posts about it. This board design is pretty phenomenal. It comes apart, and it has small magnets that make it attach, keeping everything intact. And inside this board, you're going to find everything that you need to play Jam Sumo. You've got dice for up to 6 players, along with jam platforms. These jam platforms are going to connect right in like this. And what you're doing is you're flicking these dice off of jam platforms if you're playing jam, or if you're playing sumo, you're flicking the dice from this line right here. The first jam is the point of the game is to get these inside. Oh, look at that. I actually got it. Get this through the center hole, taking your die out of rotation and allowing you to decrease your score. Once somebody has finished jam, once one player has put all of their dice through the hole in the center, any dice that are left on the board are going to be negative points for all the players at the table. And then you play sumo, or you can play multiple versions of each. Then you play sumo, and you're going to receive positive points for any die that is on the board. You're trying, ultimately, like in a sumo match, trying to knock the other player's dice off of the platform. This game is really, really fun. I was really fixated on checking this out when we first got to Origins. This was the second game that we got to see, and I immediately bought it because this fits up right up our alley with dexterity games, something that 6 players can hover around and plays really quickly. You can play a shorter version game where you just play jam then sumo for a low score, or you can play jam up to the number of players that you're playing at the table, and then play sumo up to the number of players that you're playing at the table. So you play this as long as you want, kind of like crokinole. And so Jam Sumo is an excellent buy, and I'm so glad that I got a copy before Brown Castle Games sold out. If you have ever seen Brown Castle Games work, it is incredible. This board is beautifully done, etched in the back. All the pieces fit perfectly. Everything stays where it needs to. Jam Sumo, if it's not on your radar, it probably should be, because this was one of my favorite purchases of Origins 2024. Now, you may be saying, Ryan, that was your second purchase at the convention. What was your first purchase? This is To Glory. This is from Vesuvius Media. This was purchased by ourselves, not a review copy, but we saw this on display at the Vesuvius Media booth and was immediately drawn in. There are these cardboard ships that you build, similar to something like Colt Express, where you've got it's a pick up and deliver game. You're sailing your ships to different islands on this big, large size board, picking up things, but while you're out at sea, the other pirates are trying to get your treasure. So you need to defend yourself. And it's a little bit of a dexterity game as you shoot cannonballs across to the other ships. If you hit a ship, you're going to get points. If you knock off a captain off the ship, you're going to get points. This one is so much fun. I didn't even know this was a thing until we saw it in the Vesuvius Media booth. But apparently this fulfilled on Kickstarter in November 2023, and they had 20 copies at the booth. We bought the very first copy, and I'm so glad we did, because as soon as I finish this video, I'm putting this thing together and I'm going to make the kids play this with me. I'm super excited about 2 Glory. It looks like a game that's going to be a lot of fun, similar to things like Crash Octopus or just any dexterity game where you're flicking stuff and tossing things and everybody's yelling at each other. That's the kind of game I like. Anyway, this was number 2 on my list. And finally, one last game that we're super excited to have in the house. This one's Forges of Ravenshire from BA Games. Forges of Ravenshire, if you don't already know the story, because I know I've talked a lot of people's ears off about this one, this was a game that we demoed in 2023 at Origins at the BA Games booth. I played it. It's a dice placement game. Essentially, you're placing dice out into the world. You're bringing dice back. You're triggering things. It's an engine builder. You're fulfilling contracts as this badger right here who's working on forging some metal. It's such a cool concept that you're woodland creatures who are the best at what they do, and you're forging all these pieces of armor for warriors. The game plays so smoothly. It's a little bit of a longer game. It's a little bit chunky for people who might be used to lighter games. This is kind of a medium weight dice placement game. And I love, love, love getting a chance to play this. I am very thankful for BA Games for providing this copy for content and for review. I want to shout out to BA Games for allowing us to take a copy. I'm ecstatic that we actually have a copy of Forges of Ravenshire. If you're not familiar with this property, you will be very soon, because I'm going to be making a bunch of content about it, because I love this game so much. Not only am I passionate about it, but I think that we have a great opportunity to introduce people to a game that they may not have seen before. The full production copy is really nice. This one is going out to Kickstarter backers, I believe, any moment now. But I've been hype on this game for over a year, and I can't wait to play this with my family. We've already played it at the convention because I needed to get it on the table and introduced it to a couple people. So Forges of Ravenshire, I'm going to get that one right. Forges of Ravenshire is a game that you need to keep on your radar. If you like dice placement games, if you like engine building, and you don't mind Badger sticking its tongue out on the front of the box, it's pretty amazing. That'll do it. Those are just 5 games that we saw that we absolutely fell in love with from Origins 2024. I'm so happy that we're going to have those on the table. You're going to be seeing content for each and every one of those, whether we purchased it or whether it was provided to us by the publisher. Stay tuned to our channel. If you're not already, subscribe. We're here at One Board Family. You can find us online at oneboardfamily.com, where all of our written content is, and you can find us on just about any social media channel except for Pinterest, at One Board Family. Thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.